What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dare to Dream podcast, where we highlight the lessons, learnings, and life changing moments that come from having the courage to follow your dreams. My name is Gregory Russell Benedict, and I'm a coach who helps people get the things that money can't buy. My co host, Vinny Van Patten, is a writer and media creator currently exploring what lights his soul on fire in Tokyo, Japan. My guest today is me. I'm going to be sharing with you 9 lessons I learned in 2024 from one of my favorite year end annual review activities. At the end of every year, I go back through my journal and I reread every journal entry through the year to compile the lessons, reflections, insights, everything that I've learned from going through the highs and lows of a year. And I'm going to share with you them in 9 lessons categorized across 3 different buckets: people, love, and bold action. So here we go. We're going to get into this episode again. 9 lessons I learned in 2024 from living and then reflecting back on my journal entries across the year. We're going to start with the people category, and there's 3 lessons per category. So for people, we're going to do 1, 2, and 3. Lesson number 1: the people you surround yourself with have an outsized impact on how your life turns out. In 2024, I intentionally surrounded myself with people who were giving TEDx talks and people who were building online communities. Now, because I spent so much of last year with those people, learning from them, getting inspired, seeing that they could do it, and questioning, hey, why am I not doing these things? I am now doing both of those things, giving a TEDx talk and building an online community and implementing my first group program through that community because I surrounded myself with the right people. You've heard the cliche, you are the average of your 5 best friends, or you become like the people you spend the most time with. And this is so true. There is magic in surrounding yourself with people who have similar goals or who are doing the things that you want to do. That is lesson number 1. And it's really important to remember that the people you surround yourself with have an outsized impact on how your life turns out. Lesson number 2: when your name pops up on someone else's phone, make sure they are excited. This is more of a reflection in that I get lots of texts and emails and messages throughout my days because I'm a coach, I'm a podcast host, I'm constantly out in the community networking and meeting people. So I get a lot of texts. And I've noticed that when certain people text me and their name pops up on my phone, I'm excited. I eagerly respond. I know that whatever they have to share with me is exciting or heartfelt or sincere, and I really want to get back to them. And then I've also noticed that there's other people that when they send me a message or an email, I wait a little bit. I don't want to respond to them right away because they might be asking for something, or it might be not necessarily a favor or something I don't want to hear. So it made me think that when I'm texting other people, when I'm reaching out to people, are they getting excited when my name pops up on the phone? Are they saying, oh no, here's another text I have to respond to? So it's something to think about. How can you become the kind of person who people love hearing from so that when your name pops up on their phone or in their email inbox, they are stoked? Lesson number 3, this is the final one in the people category, is find your messy mentors. This kind of ties back to point 1, which I was talking about, and it's something I've wrote about in my newsletter before. But a messy mentor is someone who is just a few steps ahead of you in their journey. You get to benefit from watching them take messy, imperfect action. And the best part about a messy mentor is because they're only a few steps ahead of you, when you see them out there in the world doing the thing that you want to do, you watch and you say, wow, if they can do it, why can't I? That's how it started with me for TEDx. That's how it started with me for some of these other things. Is you sometimes need to see someone similar to you but slightly ahead do the thing, do it messy, do it unprepared, make some mistakes, and then it almost normalizes the activity. Giving a TEDx talk, or let's use a different example, making a certain level of money used to seem like such a crazy, impossible thing. But once you spend enough time around people who are making that amount of money or making an offer to someone for X amount of dollars, it starts to feel a little less scary and a little more normal. So, finding a messy mentor is so helpful for your growth because messy mentors give you permission to start. They give you permission to do it badly because everyone's going to suck at first. And it's really important that when you are looking for your messy mentor, 2 things to keep in mind. One, You want to find someone who is just a few steps ahead of you in the journey. You don't want to compare yourself to someone who is so far down the curve. They've been doing this for 50 years that when you compare where you are today to where they are today, you get discouraged. So you want someone just a few steps ahead of you. And number two is you have to find a specific type of person who is willing to start before they have it all figured out. That's why they're called a messy mentor and not just a normal mentor, because they're willing to do it messy, half baked, imperfect. They're willing to build the plane while it's flying. And that gives you so much permission and freedom and the courage you really need to start. So in 2025, find your messy mentors and watch your growth, both personally and professionally, take off. The second category of lessons we are coming to is love. There's 4 lessons here, and we're going to start with number 4. Most problems in your current relationship are coming from your past. It's your responsibility to sort them out, not your partner's. So, quick note here, I was writing about this in my newsletter that just went out, and Mika mentioned, who's Mika's my girlfriend, she said, "Hey, it kind of sounds like we broke up because you're talking about all of these relationships about love." So I just want to say we are still together. Things are going so well, and I have grown more in my love life, in my ability to be in a relationship in 2024 than any other year of my life combined. And it's because of these things I'm learning. So let's come back to the lesson, which is most of the problems in your current relationship are coming from your past. This is so true. And I heard a relationship expert named Bruce Music talking about this, and he calls these things that are coming up from your past. They're these highly sensitive pain points. They're the things that trigger you in an unreasonable way. He calls these your broken toes. So for some people, they might have a broken toe around meeting new people, or they might have a broken toe around people asking them questions about their business, about what they're doing. I know for me, I have a broken toe around people in my life, specifically my mother, asking me about business stuff because sometimes it sounds like, or it feels like to me, that she is questioning my decisions rather than asking a genuine question. And so this is something that we've worked through together the past couple of years, and it's gotten so much better. So, Mom, if you're listening to this, I love you and I appreciate you so much. You helped me overcome this broken toe I had. And again, this was my problem, not hers. So, if you take the time to reflect on, okay, why am I getting sensitive when this comes up? Why am I overreacting when my partner asks me about X or when they do Y? It's through the slowing down and realizing that this is probably coming from your past that you can start to fix it. And while it's not your partner's responsibility to sort out these problems, it is their responsibility to be patient with you while you sort them out. And once you start to figure them out a little bit more, you guys can create new language around it. So I can come to my partner and say, hey, when you do this or you ask a question in this way, I feel triggered, I feel attacked. When that happens, here's what you can do, or here's what we can do together to move past this. So I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but it is a huge insight in that so much of the things that I thought were issues with my partners in the past were really just me not dealing with my own past and figuring out why I'm getting triggered or annoyed or being sensitive to certain things. So that's lesson number 4 in the love category. Lesson number 5 is somewhat, it's going to sound a little bit intense, but I will explain it once I say it. Lesson number 5 is that to have a successful relationship, you must be willing to hurt your partner's feelings in the short term. So, what I mean by this is that one of the worst things you can do for a relationship, specifically a love relationship, is not share how you are feeling in the moment. If something is bothering you about your partner and it keeps coming up, if you bury it instead of bringing it forth because you're afraid that sharing openly about it might hurt their feelings, that is a losing recipe. So I'm actually going to share lesson number 6 here too because they're related. So lesson number 6 is share openly and honestly in real time. Keeping track of past issues leads to resentment and blindsiding. So these two go together. You have to be willing to hurt your partner's feelings in the short term, which is lesson number 5, by sharing openly and honestly in real time about the things that might be bothering you, which is lesson number 6. Just adjusting my light here. You have to do this because if you don't bring things up, you bury them. And whatever you bury doesn't go away, it starts festering and it can turn into resentment. And I have gotten into some serious hot water in past relationships because I am both highly agreeable by nature. I love getting along with people. I love saying yes to things. And I'm also a recovering people pleaser. So again, I want to please people. I want them to like me. The two of these combined mean that it is easier for me to brush something off, to bury it, than to bring it up in real time because I want to be cool, calm, and collected. I want to be easygoing. I don't want to bring this up in the moment, but this is a terrible recipe for relationships. To build this effective trust and communication, you have to be willing to share how you are feeling in real time and be willing to share the things that aren't going well or the things that are bothering you. And here's what not to do. If your partner does something that bothers you and you bury it and it keeps happening over and over again, but you don't bring it up, one, that's going to cause resentment. And two, you're going to bring it up in the future and you're going to say, I can't stand it when you do this thing. You do this all the time. You've done this 7 times, and here's all my proof. And that's what leads to what's called blindsiding, where your partner doesn't know that they've been doing anything that bothers you. And all of a sudden, you bring forth these 7 instances and you say, look at what you're doing. Your partner is going to feel blindsided because you never told them that they were bothered. You never gave them an opportunity to change their behavior or to respond or to simply have a conversation about it. So when it comes to relationships, what I'm realizing is that sometimes you have to say the harsh truth. You have to get it out in the open, even if it might hurt your partner's feelings. And I promise you, if they are the right partner, they will be able to handle it. So telling your partner what is bothering you might actually save your relationship. Otherwise, you're going to let some minor red flag fester into some huge non negotiable that ultimately ends up with you deciding to end the relationship or them deciding to end the relationship with you simply because you haven't been eye to eye about what's going on. That sums up my lessons, my 3 lessons for the love category. And we are going to move to the next section, which is bold action. You knew we were going to be talking about bold action. So here are the 3 lessons I learned in 2024 about bold action. Lesson number 7, you've got to show the universe that you are serious about your dreams. In March of 2024, I moved out of my bedroom and into this private office that I'm in. So many amazing things happened after I moved into this office. My business took off. I set up the Dare to Dream studio, which I'm looking at right over here. I started having in-person guests. And moving into the office, yes, it gave me a space to record in-person episodes, but it really showed the universe that I was serious, that I was going all in on this dream of becoming a podcaster, of building my coaching business. And I really think that while it sounds dramatic about going all in and burning the ships, there is something to showing the universe that you're serious about your dreams and making some sort of a commitment. When I moved out of my bedroom and into this office, I could afford rent for a bit, but not indefinitely. I needed things to change in order to consistently pay the rent, and that's what happened. I ended up making 10 times more money during the 9 months I was in this office during 2024 than the first 3 months of 2024 where I was at my home office. That is wild. So that's lesson number 7 is that you've got to show the universe that you are serious about your dreams. Lesson number 8 is to say yes to opportunities before you know how you'll fulfill them. An example of this from my life is that last April, I said yes to leading a 3-hour training for my friend Brian's community. When I said yes to this, I had no idea what I was going to talk about, how many people were going to be there, what was going to come from it. But this training led to the creation of my 3-step framework that I now teach in my workshops and I use with my clients. So saying yes made me figure things out. And this has been a lesson that I see over and over and over again, going back to the messy mentor piece. Say yes to things before you know how it's all going to work out, how it's going to fit together. Saying yes makes you figure it out. And that sometimes is the best motivation. Saying yes to that workshop, or rather saying yes to teaching Brian's community, led to the creation of my own workshops. So I'm now doing paid in-person workshops where people come and hang out with me for 2.5 hours and I take them through a 3-step process that was actually an iteration of what I taught Brian's community. So saying yes to that led to me doing my own workshops and my own workshops are leading to me launching my own group program. So say yes to things before you know how they're going to turn out, and your future self will thank you. We're coming in on lesson number 9. This is the last lesson I learned from reading my journal cover to cover for 2024. Tell anyone who will listen about what lights your soul on fire. This is something so core to myself, so core to Vinny. We've been talking about find what lights your soul on fire since day one of the Dare to Dream podcast. And if you talk about the thing that lights your soul on fire, the thing you're passionate about, the thing that you could talk about forever and ever, I promise you, people will start to listen. I went from being a mediocre speaker, or rather, a poor speaker. When I look back on Communications 101 in college, when I had to give a speech, when I look back on the presentations I gave during my career in finance, I sucked. I was nervous, I was sweaty. I still get nervous and sweaty, but now I'm actually a pretty good speaker. And practice was a huge part of this, but so was passion. Once I started talking about things that I was passionate about, I found that people wanted to listen. And this is because passion is contagious. Even if you're not passionate about the thing that I'm talking about, if I'm up there and I'm animated and I'm using my hands and I'm into it, people can feel that and it's contagious and they want to be around that kind of energy. So start talking about the things that you are passionate about that light your soul on fire, and you will see all of these amazing things happen. A few things that happened in 2024 that were amazing and unexpected because I started talking about my passions. One, I started hosting those paid workshops that I talked about. That was huge. Two, one of my friends reached out and he had me on his podcast a couple of times. He runs the Mankind podcast, which is a big podcast. They have over 1 million total downloads. And he sent me a screenshot and said, "Yo, dude, check this out. Your episode, we recorded 2 episodes. Your episodes were number 1 and number 5 top performing episodes of the year." So out of all the episodes he did with many guests, mine landed at number 1 and number 5. And it's because I am so on fire about talking about taking bold action and following your dreams. So that happened. I also, as I've mentioned and alluded to a few times, I got selected to give a TEDx talk, which is this dream I've had. It's been on my bucket list forever. It's up there next to writing a book. And that is finally happening in March because, again, I have this topic. I have an idea worth sharing, to use TED words, that I'm so excited about, and I can't wait to speak about it and share it with the world. So if you start talking to anyone who will listen about what lights your soul on fire, doors will open and magic will happen. Those are the 9 lessons I learned in 2024. I hope you found these helpful. I did not realize that so many of the lessons I learned this year would be about love and relationships. But as I said at the beginning, my relationship with Mika is going so well, and I've grown so much in it through taking the time to slow down and realize that I am a huge part of the problem. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We have so many more great guest episodes coming soon in 2025. This is going to be a fantastic year. And I also just want to put something here. I want to celebrate this. I'm working on celebrating things more. If you didn't read this in my newsletter, one, you should sign up for my newsletter. So I'm actually going to link something in the description below. But 2024 was the best year of my life in so many different ways. But in 2024, we crossed off a huge milestone. It was the last milestone that still remained from my dark finance days. In 2024, I officially made more money from following my dreams than I did from working in finance. Now, that is wild. Think about it. When I worked in finance up until June of 2020, I was told that this is the best job I can get. I'm making great money. I'm successful on paper. When I decided that I was going to leave, everyone told me I was crazy. You're going to regret it. You'll never make this money again. All these things that easily could have held me back and almost did, I decided to ignore, and I went and I followed my dreams. I dared to dream. And now, just 4.5, 5 years later, I'm now making more money following my dreams than I did in finance. And it's really not about the money. It's about how freaking alive and excited I am every single day when I get to come to work and I get to record podcasts like this. I get to jump on calls with my amazing clients and help them dream and achieve and get out of their comfort zone. It is seriously bonkers. I'm going to use that word. It is bonkers that I get to do all these things I love and get paid well for it. And so if I can do it, so can you. I used to think that passion and purpose and all those things were great for other people, but not for me. I was the analytical, calculated, risk averse young man working in finance, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So, if you've made it this far in this episode, if you are still listening and you have a dream and you haven't gone for it yet, please, 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 please let 2025 be the year that you take at least that first step towards your dreams because it will be the most fulfilling, exciting, meaningful, adventurous year of your life. And you will never look back. And you will realize eventually that you are going to make more money, have a greater impact, meet more amazing people on this hero's journey of yours than if you stay where you are today. Thanks for listening. As always, I love you guys. In the description below, I'm going to put a link to my podcast, not my podcast. I'm going to put a link to my newsletter so you can sign up. I'm also going to include my LinkedIn. I do a lot of writing on LinkedIn if you want some daily inspiration around taking bold action and going for your dreams. And like I said, we have a lot of amazing episodes coming in 2025. Stay tuned. We love you guys. Don't forget, dare to dream. If you liked this episode, please be sure to subscribe to the Dare to Dream podcast on YouTube. You want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the amazing episodes we're going to be coming out with in the future. And if you liked this video specifically, please give it a like, leave a comment, let us know what you loved. Thank you so much for being here. We love you guys.